JJ Zendejas, JSmiff. I don't want to sound like a manager, but Crawford is going to get $10 million for a Canelo fight. I heard he was getting 50. What happened? Canelo's still getting his 150 million? Well, my brother, people just make stuff up literally out of thin air. So honestly, I don't know those numbers yet. I've seen that Crawford is supposedly going to make $10 million, but I'll wait a little bit longer. That's a question that, I can't answer off the top of my head because I can give you some bullshit ass answer, and you know that I don't do those, my guy. I do know that Crawford is going to get a career payday. Canelo's going to get a bag, but I don't know how much they're going to get, my brother. So we'll have to touch base on that once again. Hash Bash, what would you like to see from Charlo tonight? Great question, my brother. Charlo, he has been inactive since 2023. So I want to see how he's going to look as far as, is he going to be sharp? Is his timing going to be good? How is his activity going to be? I'm looking, all of those little things. Is Charlo also going to be, super aggressive, or is he going to be cautious? So let's see. I don't want him to just win the fight because this is kind of like a tune-up, but I want him to look impressive. So that's what I'm looking forward to, him looking impressive. Ozzy, do you think there could be a knockdown in Canelo versus Bud fight? There could be a knockdown. There could be multiple knockdowns. Do I think there's going to be a knockdown? Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think anybody's going to visit the canvas. That's my take. Darren, who do you have between Inoue and MJ? Inoue, my brother. I don't have anybody beating the monster. Maybe Bam, if he moves up, Bam could have a possibility, but I don't see nobody else beating Naoya Inoue. So Derek says, turn down the Virgil Ortiz offer to stay at 47, but now turning down Teofimo to go up to 54. What's going on? So I would say that Jerome Boots Ennis, for now at least, it doesn't look like he turned Teofimo down to go to 154. It looks like he turned down that fight because he wants to fight Brian Norman Jr. so that he can unify titles. He did say, look, I don't need Teofimo, he needs me, because he's the champion in the welterweight division. And Teofimo's looking for the opportunity. So I think it's more about Boots wanting to fight for the title than to give Teofimo a shot. Hola. Imada 210. I heard Boots headed to the Eddie Reynoso camp to train with Canelo to prepare for the Crawford style. Correct me if I'm wrong. Based on reports, that is accurate. I haven't seen footage of it, but Stephen Coolboy Fulton posted Boots fighting Canelo, something like that. And, they said that was about them being in the gym, sparring. So apparently Canelo is sparring with Boots to prepare for Crawford. And I think that's a very smart idea because you guys know that Boots, he fights as a southpaw and he fights as an orthodox. So, I think that Boots is the perfect sparring partner if you're preparing for Terence Crawford. So, I think it's a good idea. Al Montes, what you think about Rohan Polanco? Yo, listen, Rohan Polanco is an elite level talent, young fighter, fast hands, very good footwork, ring IQ, defense. He's a future star. And, my Dominican brother, he's Dominican too. I've been following him. And I could tell you, man, this kid, he's going to be a champion. If you don't know who Rohan Polanco is, follow him on Instagram, Rohan Polanco. Check him out. The kid can fight. And like I said, man, he's going to be a world champion. He has all the tools and resources to accomplish a lot of big things in the world of boxing. Okay, Chris Fontaine, Boots already training with Canelo. So I said it before, my brother, Boots is a great option as a sparring partner simply because we already know he can fight orthodox or southpaw, something that Crawford does all the time. Jerome Boots Ennis is the guy to prepare Canelo Alvarez for the type of ass whooping that Terence Crawford is going to give him. Champ, will you be surprised if Canelo wins in September? So, being that I got Terence Crawford winning, this fight and I feel confident, honestly, I would be surprised if Canelo wins. But I'm only going to be surprised because I got Crawford winning. On the other hand, Canelo is an all-time great, a pound-for-pound fighter. One of the best, obviously, of this era. So, in a way, I'll accept it. Like, Canelo's a great fighter. I expect Crawford to win, but if he wins, I can accept that. That's not something that would be out of this world. Next question is from Adam. Canelo sucking on steroid sandwich right now. But I got Crawford with the KO. I got Crawford winning that fight, my brother. But I don't see it by KO. I see Crawford winning by unanimous decision. Imada, if Plant gets the job done tonight, who do you think Plant will fight next, Charlo or Berlanga? So I believe that it'll be Plant versus Charlo. I don't know if Berlanga actually want to fight Plant. And I got Plant whooping that ass. If Plant and Berlanga fight, I got Plant whooping him. But the fact that Jermall Charlo and Caleb Plant are both fighting tonight, and they've had friction between each other, personally and on social media, I think it's possible that this fight from tonight, for both of them, is going to set the stage so that they can face each other later on this year. John Pound, what's your opinion on Dev working with Benavidez and Roy Jones? I think it's a plus. Roy Jones Jr., we're talking about an all-time great, a guy who had an amazing career, lots of accomplishments. We know Roy Jones Jr. has an exceptionally good defense. We know about David Benavidez, his offensive firepower, the way that he applied pressure to his opponents. So I think both of them can help Devin Haney a lot. They can add a lot to his bag of tools. So I like it. I think it's a great idea. Hash Bass, do you think Crawford bulking up versus Canelo will make him slower? Honestly, I don't think it's going to make him slower. The reason I say that is because Crawford is a very athletic fighter. He has a certain level of athleticism. Somebody who's a gym rat, somebody who's always working out, who does weights, who runs, who does a lot of different, physical activities to stay in shape. So I think that Crawford, facing Canelo at 168, he is going to be the faster fighter inside the ring. Imada, 210. Did you hear Jaime Munguia pop for PED? I'm like, why Jaime? Was he afraid of losing to Sarasi again? No, hombre. I did hear the unfortunate news of Jaime Munguia testing positive. I'm disappointed. Also, I'm suspicious. So many Eddie Reynoso fighters keep popping dirty. And it's like, wow, I don't really believe too much in coincidences. Too many Eddie Reynoso fighters keep popping dirty. So it's unfortunate. I hate even talking about PEDs in boxing, but it's a part of it. I know sometimes we have to address it. I'm disappointed in Jaime Munguia. Next question from my brother, Imada. How does Crawford beat Canelo? And how does Canelo beat Crawford? So I would say that Crawford beats Canelo by using his height and reach advantages, by using his better footwork, and simply by outboxing him. This is not going to be a fight that'll break down to power. It's not going to be, nobody's going to get stopped. So it's not going to be about the power. It's going to be about boxing skills. So I would say Crawford simply outboxes him. It's effective with the counter punching and just is successful with keeping Canelo at the end of that jab. How does Canelo win? Applying constant pressure, effective body punching, going forward, trying to corner Crawford, get him in the ropes and letting his hands go on him and slowing him down with body punches. If he's able to do that and hurt him, then he can, win the boxing match in the later rounds. We got another question for my brother, Go Get the Money. Where you rank Bud once he becomes victorious against Canelo? And does he surpass Sugar Ray? So the first thing is, I've seen, to me, Crawford is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. and has been for some time. So he's going to obviously stay in that slot. I think if he beats Canelo Alvarez, I expect him to win. We have to talk about him as far as an all-time great. And then we just have to wonder, is Crawford a top 10 all-time great? Is he a top 5? Is he a top 3? We have to see where we place him ahead of Sugar Ray Leonard. That's a possibility. We have to think about it. It's hard for me to say it right now off the top of my head. There's a lot of factors that I want to take into consideration. But a win over Canelo Alvarez is going to put Crawford alongside Sugar Ray Leonard, Duran Hagler, and other all-time greats. As far as placement, top 10, top 5, top 3, it's hard for me to answer that question right now. But definitely up there with the greatest of them. Got a good question for my brother Hash Bash. When are we going to get the opportunity to see who is the best at 135? I think you find out who the best in the division is when the champions face each other, when they unify titles. So that's when we find out. I think we have to see, Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson fight each other at this point to find out who's the best at 135. Junior says, JSmiff, Crawford will be heavier than usual, and he will be much slower and will tire faster. We have to remember that. I can't agree with you, my brother. So look, Junior, what you're saying, logically, it can make sense. But I think that you're disregarding the type of athlete that Terence Crawford is. I think that you're disregarding that Terence Crawford is an exceptional athlete. And what I mean by that is that he's still going to be fast. He's still going to be strong. He's definitely going to be faster than Canelo. And that's going to be the case because of his athleticism. He's not going to be slow at all. He's going to be the faster guy in the ring. I promise you that. Go get the money. Did you hear Stephen Espinoza saying it's hard to find budget for the Tank and Lamont 2? Wow. I did not hear that. But honestly, I'm surprised to hear it, my brother, because Tank versus Lamont Roach 2 is a very anticipated rematch. The people want to see it. I feel like that fight is going to do great numbers as far as pay-per-view. I heard it had done 300 and something thousand pay-per-view buys, the last one. This one I think is going to do more than double that because people want to see it. It was a very interesting fight. King Nadish, what's the best name for a kid who will be the future face of boxing? Shakur Stevenson. There you have it. I said what I said. Love more Hinduism. I see some upsets tonight. Charlo or Plant. Whoa. I want both of them to win because of the possibility that afterward they may end up facing each other. And I want to see that. But let's see. Let's see what happens. You're predicting that somebody's getting upset tonight. We got the receipt right here. Let's see what happens. Just get your question in the building. Gabe Rivera. What you think about Benavidez telling Turkey no in that Alcatraz fight card? So, my brother, I was not aware that His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh extended an offer to Benavidez to participate in that card. To my understanding, the only situation with Benavidez is that he was supposed to be Dimitri Bivol's mandatory, and Bivol opted to vacate that title in order to have the trilogy with Arthur Beterbiev. And His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh pointed out that he was not interested in Bivol facing Benavidez. So that's the only interaction I know as far as Benavidez go with His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh. I'm not aware that he was ever invited to the card that will be held in Alcatraz. I don't even know if they have the fighters that are going to be on there. But that's what I can tell you, my brother. I have no information on that. So, like I said, you know me, my guy. I don't make stuff up out of thin air. When I get my information, when I do my little research, then we can touch bases on that again.